Right, we're now joined with Greg here at BRFM on the Monday Night Community Show. It's part of our regular slot where we're catching up with the artists who've had their work on show in Room, which is the mobile art space travelling around Swale at the moment. Greg, firstly, welcome along to the show.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Now, we're joined with you in your studio in Queenborough at the moment, but I was wondering if we could start off by talking a little bit about yourself as an artist and perhaps what projects you've been involved in before you had your work on show in Room.
Okay, well, mainly I'm an oil painter, and the sort of work I'm doing is really sort of semi-impressionist. Some of it's quite realistic, some of it quite realism, but it's really what I do is just paint sort of environment and the world around me, really. And I've been painting, I'm a self-taught painter, I've been painting really only for about sort of 4 or 5 years. And prior to this, I've done quite a few exhibitions, sometimes on the south coast, and I have actually had a studio down in Bournemouth for a time, which basically gave me the idea essentially of the way to use the space in the room. It's essentially really creating like a studio environment as opposed to really a gallery. Because what I find is that galleries are quite formal places and they're sometimes quite intimidating when you actually go in them. So I like the idea of actually creating like a working space where you're actually painting there and showing the pictures as well. And that's the idea I tried to bring to the room when I was down in Lansdowne for 3 weeks, 3 weekends. So that's where I'm coming from, really, you know.
What was it like to work in Room? Because when I've been to visit Room in the past, it's been artists showing their work, whereas you were actually producing work whilst you were down there. Was that a good experience?
It was a good experience, yeah. I mean, the thing is, because I'm using solvents with the oil paints, I mean, if you end up just stuck in a room painting, you end up going to be pretty, high or ill or something with it, you know. So what I did anyway was to create like a makeshift easel outside the door. And just paint on site. I mean, the thing is, it was a mixed event in a way because I was unlucky with the weather for one of the weekends, and it was basically a bit of a washout. But for the rest of the time, it was a really good response, really, and quite really encouraging. I mean, there's a lot of people that you find when you talk to them are actually really interested in art, and they sort of gave it up after school, and. So what I'm just showing is that you can basically just, you don't really need any sort of formal training or any sort of formal academia. You can just get up and set up and start painting. Yeah.
Now we're in your studio down in Queenborough, the Queenborough Borough Hall, and some of the pieces of work that you produced while you were down in the room are around us. I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about it, because our listeners can't see them, so if you could try and talk us through them.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I started this idea, the idea of just representing what the island, events on the island. I mean, one of the themes about what I've noticed around here, because I'm from Sittingbourne anyway, but I've been to the island a few times since I lived here. But there's everywhere around the island. It's an interesting place for a painter. I mean, there's a lot of traces of the past around everywhere, and I was trying to pick up that sort of atmosphere. I mean, if you look at the paintings, some of them look a bit moody, I have to say. But that's But I mean, in the winter time, you do get that sort of atmosphere around here, you know. And so there's paintings of like bits of the Docklands, the old church down in Bluetown. Sort of various sort of semi-abstract pictures as well of around Lansdowne at night and the lights and everything, you know.
So they were kind of capturing how you see the island when you visited it.
Yeah. It was really, so I started driving around, sort of getting ideas, sketches and everything around about it. It must have been around sort of February and March. So it's quite a cold time, and but that's just the sort of atmosphere that I picked up. I mean. Yeah, I mean there are some obviously great parts of the island and things like that, but it's just, but there is a kind of a mix between all the industry and the marshlands and everything like that, you know, which creates quite an atmosphere to the place, which is good for a painter anyway. So.
We are talking to Greg. We're out and about. We're talking to him in Queenborough at the Queenborough Borough Hall studios, and it's part of our regular slot where we're catching up with the artists who have their work on show in Room, which is the mobile art gallery travelling round Swale. Right, we're joined back with Greg. We're out and about, and we're catching up with Greg as part of our regular slot where we catch up with artists who have had their work on show in Room, which is the mobile art space travelling around Swale. Now, we're based with Greg at the moment in his studio in Queenborough, the Queenborough Borough Hall. Can you tell us more about your studio here?
Yeah, the studio's it's 4 units, self-contained units within the Borough Hall, and so there's 4 artists that we use it, and it's just a space really. It's not really a sort of walk-in studio or anything. It's just a working space where you can sort of make a mess with the oil paints and everything like that. So it's a good light and everything like that. So it's a good space to work in. But what I'm planning to do with this space is to create a screen printing unit in it, because I mean I've got about 2 years worth of paintings lying around, probably about over 30 paintings, which I'd like to create prints of them, but not in a sort of manufactured way, you know, with electronic printing. We're using screen printing. I mean it's quite a complex sort of way. Well, once it's set up, you can create original prints. Using acrylic-based media and everything like that, so you get the original prints, which you can then sell at commercial prices, around about £20-25, rather than an oil painting, which obviously is difficult to sell, expensive. It probably could take a month on just a single painting. But with the prints, you can make up to 20 to 50 limited edition copies. I mean, that's my plan with the studio. Really, is to, because I say I've been painting on and off for a long time now, and I think the screen printing is the way to go for the next sort of 12 months.